The Chosen People is sponsored by NetWell. Healthcare costs are rising, and it can feel overwhelming. But at NetWell, we believe there's a better way. Imagine being the part of a community, a family where people just like you share medical expenses. With NetWell, you get affordable care without the burden of surprise bills or sky-high premiums. We're more than traditional healthcare sharing. We offer access to trusted providers, telemedicine, dental, and mental health services. Your well-being is our priority, and we're here for you like family. Join the NetWell family today at netwell.com. Affordable care, trusted community, your health, your way.
Previously on The Chosen People.
So close to Sodom. Are you sure?
I think the proximity of the city would prove useful to me. Yeah, useful.
Be careful near those cities. I fear the influence of their culture is more dangerous than their spears.
But I hear that the lands in Canaan are untamed, and there are fortunes to be had if you're bold enough to take it. Wealth you can't even imagine. Wealth that would put Ur and Haran to shame.
The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is immense. The victims of this terrible wickedness plead for justice. The sin of both Sodom and Gomorrah is extremely serious.
Yes, my lord. Your judgment will be carried out according to your will.
My lord, would you have us continue on our way?
Yes. Go ahead of me and scout out the city. See what you make of it and its inhabitants.
My God, will you really sweep away the righteous with the wicked?
After Abraham's God departed to see about Sodom, Abraham walked for a long time on his own, processing what was to come. He knew his God was right in his authority and right in his judgment. But when he thought of those who were oppressed and abused by the wickedness of Sodom, for this was the need for justice, Abram had to acknowledge that his heart was still broken.
You've heard the stories, right? Our distant relatives, the line of Ham. They're cursed, Abram, cursed. And yet there they are, sitting in seats of power. And then there's me. I don't want to just be another name, Abram. Just another name in a long, endless list of men from the line of Noah.
In the heart of a dark city where shadows lurk and sin reigns, a family's fate hangs in the balance. Shalom, my friends, from here in the Holy Land of Israel. I'm Yael Eckstein with the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. Welcome to The Chosen People. Each day we'll hear a dramatic story inspired by the Bible, stories filled with timeless lessons of faith, love, and the meaning of life. Through Israel's story, we'll find this truth, that we are all chosen for something great. Let's begin. Today, we venture down the cobblestone alleys of Sodom. This story, inspired by Genesis 19, 1-16, is not just a tale of escape. Rather, it's a reflection on the human heart and how the world around us can shape and misguide our own hearts.
Hello, everyone. It's your favorite president, Donald J. Trump, here to introduce something really special. You're going to love it. My new Trump watches. It's one of the best watches made. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know what it's for, who it represents. Get your Trump watch right now. Go to gettrumpwatches.com. It's Trump time.
That's right. President Trump has released his official Trump watches. But don't wait, because these limited edition watches won't be around for long. Go to gettrumpwatches.com now to get your Trump watch before they're gone. It's an easy URL to remember, gettrumpwatches.com. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of history. Go now to gettrumpwatches.com and get your watch today. See gettrumpwatches.com for details. Trump watches are not intended for investment purposes. Hurry, go now to gettrumpwatches.com.
With Cybersecurity Awareness Month coming to a close, LifeLock wants to remind you to update your software. Software updates are used to patch up security issues and bugs that identity thieves can exploit to gain access to personal information. Regularly updating your software is just one more easy step to help protect your personal information. But for comprehensive identity theft protection, LifeLock can help give you real peace of mind. Only LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft issues that arise guaranteed. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second and detects and alerts you to a wide range of threats, well beyond what you can see on your own. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Plus, you're backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package with up to $3 million in coverage. Start protecting your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com/iHeart. That's LifeLock.com/iHeart. Terms apply.
Just a few years ago, only 3% of domestic violence shelters accepted pets, meaning many abuse survivors had to choose between staying in a difficult situation for their pet or leaving their pet behind. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men experience domestic abuse in their lifetime, and nearly half of survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Purina believes in the healing power of pets, particularly for survivors of abuse. They believe pets and people are better together, which is one of the many reasons they started the Purple Leash Project. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping break down one of the many barriers abuse survivors face: the lack of pet-friendly domestic violence shelters. Purina has helped increase the amount of pet-friendly shelters across the country from 3% to nearly 20% through the Purple Leash Project. With more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters, survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to get involved.
The day had been sweltering, and even though the evening was nearing, tensions still ran hot. Sweat beaded on Lot's forehead, and he could even feel droplets sliding down the back of his neck into his tunic. The 2 men before him were nearly nose to nose. Their angry shouts reverberated off the stone walls of the gate.
Brothers, please, lower your voices. The entire city doesn't need to know your business.
Maybe they should know. Yes, they should know Durak is a snake, and doing business with him will only leave you bleeding.
Oh, don't be so naive, Shovar. You can play the victim all you want, but even a child could tell you that the price you gave was too low.
That's your excuse for lying through your teeth.
Running to weep into the skirts of a city judge is your response. Be a man, Shovar. You should have offered more, or known I would find another buyer.
You used my price to drive up the other bids. We had an understanding.
We had no such thing.
There were witnesses.
And how much are you paying them to back your story?
Keep your forked tongue behind your teeth. I did no such thing, and I would never need to do such a thing.
You're a cheap man who needs to pay for friends, as well as a snitch.
This is the only friend I need.
Shovar flashed a blade, and Durak followed suit. Both men were poised and ready to strike.
Brothers, that's enough! I've heard what I need to hear.
And?
I side with you, Shovar.
Ha! See, Durak?
What? Lot, you can't be serious.
Yes, Durak. You will pay for a fine for breaking your agreement with Shovar.
This is outrageous, Lot, and you know it. I don't know what kind of business you ran in Haran, but am I not entitled to get the best price for my buyers?
But you had an agreement. You broke your word.
What do words matter when it comes to money? Any businessman worth his salt would tell you that.
I suppose it pays to have the judgment of the law on your side.
More like a bleeding heart Hebrew. Where do you get off on this nonsense about word and honor?
Enough! The matter is settled. It's the end of the day. Go home. I'm sure we all have matters to attend to.
This isn't over, Lot. Mark my words. I'll remember this.
Durak slunk off into the crowd in the direction of the wealthiest part of the city. The part of the city Lot not so secretly longed to be. Lot had done well for himself in the years since his abduction and the invasion of the city. Sodom had rebuilt and resumed its commerce, and Lot had ensured he was a part of it. He no longer resided in his caravan outside the city, but within its walls, and held the position of a judge. Never again would Lot not have a stone wall at his back or a heavily guarded gate before him. Despite the comforts and securities he had worked tirelessly to obtain, Lot still awoke screaming and sweating to nightmares of clanging spears and bloodied knives being held to his throat. Rogues like Durak he could stomach. Sodom had no shortage of cases to be heard here at the city gate. His wealth and his connection to his uncle Abram, the war hero, or Abraham as he was now called, had brought him influence and favor with the city officials. Judging the back dealings and corruption of the city helped quiet his fears of inadequacy and helped him reclaim what was left of his pride. Lot had finally achieved his dream, the one of legacy and destiny he spoke of to his uncle in his grandfather's house all those years ago. It wasn't anything like he thought it would be, and so much had happened that he had not anticipated, but he supposed that was the way of dreams. And so he shrouded himself in the air of importance and hid behind not only the city walls, but also his righteousness. Lot found it advantageous to follow in his uncle's footsteps and play the part of the holy man, a man of faith. He found it gave him an edge over the other civic leaders, and he found that the more responsibility shifted his way, the more pious and respected he became. Lot didn't know whether to thank Abraham's God or his own shrewdness for his rise. In his heart of hearts, he thanked himself.
You know he won't forget this, Lot.
Shovar's words brought Lot out of his reverie and back to the present.
I'm sure he won't. But that's future Lot's concern. He can be my headache another day.
Well, you have my thanks, Lot. And I'll need to think of ways I can, show you my thanks. And perhaps keep you in my good graces for any future cases that might come to your gate.
Lot cringed slightly. Some customs in Sodom he would never get used to. Before Lot could deny Shovar's offer, he noticed 2 last travelers were passing through the outer gates up ahead. They were being questioned by the men on watch, who seemed eager to move them along so they could close the gates and change out the guard for the night. Shovar followed Lot's gaze and saw what drew his attention.
Well. These men are no ordinary travelers. Their clothes and appearance are not fashionable in these parts, but they are quite handsome. They will surely attract a lot of attention in town. Who do you suppose they are?
I don't know. I think you're right. Yeah, they are peculiar. I mean, look at them. No saddlebags, no mounts. I mean, they've got to have some sort of servants or a larger company staying outside the walls, right? These seem like men of importance. Dignitaries, maybe. Or maybe merchants. You know, my uncle, he was visited by a king once, and let me tell you, he carried himself just like this.
Perhaps this will be my first gesture of gratitude for your favorable ruling earlier. You should host them. And I would offer quickly before Durak catches word that there are new merchants in town. He'd swoop in and steal their business with our second thought.
Oh, yes, good idea, Shovar, very good idea. I'll take your suggestion, really, thank you. And I look forward to our dealings in the future. Honorable men like you and me, we gotta stick together.
Indeed. We may be the very last ones in the city of Sodom.
Lot laughed good-naturedly as he hurried to meet the distinguished men just clearing the city gatehouse. He bowed respectfully before them.
My lords, be welcome to the city of Sodom, the pride of the great cities of the plain. Please, allow me to be your host while you stay here in these walls. My name is Lot, son of Haran, of the line of Shem.
So you are. And you are the nephew of Abraham, a follower of the God Almighty.
Yes, certainly. I am a faithful follower, my lords, of course.
Don't stop, and don't look back. Don't look back. Don't stop. And don't look.
Lot blinked at the non-question. He also waited for the men to offer their own names in kind, but none came.
I am, my lord.
Again, they offered up no further information and asked nothing of Lot. They took his measure for a long moment. Lot could feel the cheeks under his beard turn pink at the stares this stilted conversation was drawing from the smattering of people gathered along the stone benches lining the gated walkway. The two mysterious men then inclined their heads respectfully and made to turn and leave.
My lords, please tell me, where do you plan to stay here in the city?
In the city square.
Lot could feel the growing curiosity of onlookers and felt the need to redouble his efforts as the accommodating host of his city.
The square? Oh, no, that will not do. Please, my lords, you must turn aside from your current plans and allow me to be your host, your servant. I will have you stay at my house, wash your feet, spend the night, then you can get up early, sure, go on your way, no problem. But I won't have you stay the night in the square when I can wait on you personally. It's just not right.
Don't stop anywhere on the plain. Destroy the small town you mentioned. But you must go now.
You won't take in the city will take in you. I assure you, the city can't offer you the hospitality that I can. I mean my wife. She's a fantastic cook. She oversees the most skilled cooks, the best servants in the land. Even now, I bet they're preparing the evening meal. I'll order them to prepare meat, good meats, and extravagant courses, so you'll taste the finest food, drink the best wine this region has to offer. Our land? Oh, it's well-watered and fertile, very fertile. The crops are unparalleled. Listen, I know you've traveled far, but I humbly boast you'll want for nothing after a feast in my household. How can you say no to this offer? You can't! You just can't!
I suppose we cannot. Lead the way.
Lot couldn't deny the satisfaction he felt as he led the men through the streets of the city. Shovar was right about one thing. They certainly drew a lot of attention. Their fine clothes and exotic handsome features drew the eyes of many, double takes and even open stares from both women and men.
Hello, everyone. It's your favorite president, Donald J. Trump, here to introduce something really special. You're going to love it. My new Trump watches. It's one of the best watches made. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know what it's for, who it represents. Get your Trump watch right now. Go to gettrumpwatches.com. It's Trump time.
That's right. President Trump has released his official Trump watches. But don't wait, because these limited edition watches won't be around for long. Go to gettrumpwatches.com now to get your Trump watch before they're gone. It's an easy URL to remember, gettrumpwatches.com. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of history. Go now to gettrumpwatches.com and get your watch today. See gettrumpwatches.com for details. Trump watches are not intended for investment purposes. Hurry, go now to gettrumpwatches.com.
Just a few years ago, only 3% of domestic violence shelters accepted pets, meaning many abuse survivors had to choose between staying in a difficult situation for their pet or leaving their pet behind. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men experience domestic abuse in their lifetime, and nearly half of survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Purina believes in the healing power of pets, particularly for survivors of abuse. They believe pets and people are better together, which is one of the many reasons they started the Purple Leash Project. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping break down one of the many barriers abuse survivors face: the lack of pet-friendly domestic violence shelters. Purina has helped increase the amount of pet-friendly shelters across the country from 3% to nearly 20% through the Purple Leash Project. With more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters, survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to get involved.
Attention parents and grandparents. Are you searching for the perfect gift for your kids this holiday season? Give the gift of adventure that will last all year long. A Guardian bike. The easiest, safest, and quickest bikes for kids to learn on. Kids are learning to ride in just one day. No training wheels needed. What makes Guardian bikes special? They're the easiest to ride thanks to thoughtful engineering, lightweight frames, and kid-friendly components. Kids love how fun and easy they are to ride, and parents appreciate the safety features, like the patented braking system that prevents head-over handlebar accidents. Guardian bikes are the only kids' bikes designed and assembled in a USA factory, ensuring top-notch quality and durability. They're built to last and make perfect hand-me-downs. Join the hundreds of thousands of happy families by getting a Guardian bike today. Their holiday season sales have begun, offering the biggest deal of the year. Save up to 25% on bikes. No code needed. Plus, get free shipping and a free bike lock and pump with your first purchase after signing up for their newsletter. Visit GuardianBikes.com to take advantage of these deals and secure your holiday season gifts today. Happy riding!
True to his word, Lot and his household sprang into action and pulled together a great feast for these mysterious, distinguished guests. Lot was determined to serve them in a manner that befitted his role as a city judge. If he were able to secure their trust, and their business as well, then no one could argue that he did not belong here, or that his uncle paved the way for him to be here.
You must tell us, what sort of merchants are you? Lot can help you learn all the players here in Sodom if you're looking to set up shop.
We are not merchants.
Oh, I see. Have you been to this region before? I'm sure fine men such as yourself have traveled far and wide. It was much the same when we were settled in Haran and Ur before that.
Remember what we told you. Don't look back.
Your wives must come with you next time you feast with us. I would love to meet them, and the same for my daughters.
We do not have wives.
Well, that is most surprising. I would offer you one of my daughters if they were not promised already. They are to marry the sons of a very prominent city official. We're in the throes of arranging the wedding. I have been working tirelessly. You could not imagine the intricacies. But it is a labor of love. My daughters Keziah and Milcah deserve nothing less.
And they will make lovely brides.
Thank you, Father.
Yes, thank you, Father.
And the match will be most beneficial for both our houses. Of course, there's our noble line. We can trace our family history back to Noah, if you can believe that, through his son Shem. Our family was among some of the most prosperous in Ur, and when we settled in Haran, our fortune only grew. And now Sodom. My husband Lot finds success wherever he goes. We're most eager to join our house with the nobility and wealth of this land. Who knows what the future will hold for this family?
Lot's wife carried the conversation for the rest of the meal, hardly noticing the scant contribution from the visitors. Lot found it a little strange that they were so withholding, but perhaps it would take time to earn their trust. And they were guests under his roof, which placed them in a higher place of honor and respect than even his family, according to the customs of their land. Lot was so unattuned to the presence of God that he hadn't noticed what Abraham noticed. He did not recognize the divinity veiled behind their handsome faces, or the authority vibrating from their voices as they spoke. Lot was too consumed with self to see what was right in front of him. When the household began to settle in for the evening, and the servants were taking away the remnants of their meal, Lot heard a familiar voice shouting from the street.
Hey, let's go see Lot and his stupid friends who sing in the city and stuff. Lot! Who is it you're hosting in there?
Who are those pretty men you're keeping all to yourself?
You treat these strangers like kings and then steal money from my very hands. You would turn your back on those who built and rebuilt this city in favor of foreigners.
Foreign birds flock together.
Maybe we should make sure they aren't spies.
Send them out to us so we can question them.
I'll hold them down so you can find out, Turban.
I'll be sure to leave one for you, Qasim. I won't deny you the enjoyment of taking one of them. They're so fair, fine figures of men. Derek, will you want to turn to? We'll let you pick the one you want.
Horrified at both what they were saying and how loudly they were saying it, Lot ran to the front door and into the street, slamming the door firmly behind him as if that could drown out the crude jeering. Seconds later, drunken knocks pounded against the door. Lot could smell the wine on their breath from the doorway and see the glassy lust in their eyes through cracks in the wood. They meant to defile his guests and humiliate them, and by extension, him.
Brothers, please don't do this. What you're suggesting, it's evil. It's foul. Who even told you about my guests, huh?
Who are you to say what's foul? You paraded them through town for all to see. And you think my man Kozim wouldn't tell me of your comings and goings? I have eyes all over the city, Lot.
You don't realize what a powerful enemy you've made here today, Lot.
Now, don't make us ask again. Hand over your pretty guests.
Lot's stomach turned as the man grabbed himself in a vile gesture. There was no mistaking his intentions with Lot's guests.
Look, I have 2 daughters, virgins. I'll hand them over to you instead. But you'll not take these men. They are my guests, and therefore under my protection. Cannot mean to violate their rights. Has madness taken you over?
Get out of my way! Of course, you claim guest rights. You're always hiding under the protection of propriety. To you, the law and the image of honor is everything.
You flaunt around like a host when you're a mere foreigner in our land. You can play at being a judge all you want, but you'll always be an outsider.
We should take him too.
I like that plan. An initiation, if you will. Make him a real sodomite. A lot. If you don't get out of our way, I'll have my men rape you too, eh? When they've had their fill, I'll kill you myself.
The wood of the door was immediately met with the dull thunk of the blade of a dagger, followed by 2 pairs of fists. Terror shot through Lot's limbs, and his vision narrowed to a point. He could hear Durak struggling to remove his blade from the soft wood of the door as he shouted for more men to join him. Lot could see the light of torches from the street through the cracks in the door and hear more men joining him, their bloodlust whipped into a frenzy. To his horror, the edge of Durak's blade appeared in the door crack by the frame and began to pry it open. To Lot's further dismay, calculated fingers began to claw their way into the opening, and the door strained against its lock, groaning and whining at the force. He wasn't dealing with men, but animals. Regret cascaded into Lot's. He should have known better than to make his home in a wolf's den. The crazed men would soon have their hands on Lot and would surely drag him into the street to his death, or worse. Gasping for air, Lot squeezed his eyes shut as he struggled in vain against the door's movement behind him. Every second he was losing ground. He felt the door go slack for a moment while the men outside pulled back to gather their strength to surely strike the door and serve the final death blow to both the lock and the door.
This is it. This is where I die. Being captive to a psychotic king seems like paradise compared to the horrors awaiting me.
Just then, Lot felt a pair of strong, sure hands grasp his shoulders and hurl him aside. His eyes snapped open, and he saw that his guests had stepped in and secured the door themselves. Lot couldn't believe his eyes. They had shoved it shut, and somehow the lock was holding fast, as if the massive stress it had just undergone had never happened. One of them threw a hand in the air and pulled down forcefully. As his hand soared down to his side, a blinding light illuminated the street behind the door. The light that refracted through the doorframe and the front windows was brighter than even the sun at its zenith. Lot had to shield his eyes with his hand as light flooded into his entryway. The flash was gone as suddenly as the mysterious guest had summoned it. He heard the startled cries of the men outside.
My eyes! I I can't see!
What happened?
I've been blinded. Can you see anything?
Where is the door? Lot! What did you do to us? What foreign sorcery is this?
Drek, I think it's over here.
Where are you?
I'm here.
Where?
Lot gaped in amazement as the sounds of the mob faded away. In their blindness, they lost their bearings and were miraculously led away from the house. He then turned his attention to his two guests.
What was that? What happened?
Listen to me, Lot. Do you have anyone else in the city? Your sons-in-law, other sons or daughters? Anyone else in the city who belongs to you?
Lot was still in shock over what he had witnessed. He then noticed his wife and daughters were crouched in the stairway further inside their home. They had undoubtedly witnessed both the confrontation in the street and all that had come after. They looked equally bewildered.
To your request. We will grant you your request. We will not destroy the...
Oh, the girls is betrothed.
Yes. The two brothers who are promised to my daughters and their families.
You need to go get them right now. You need to convince them to leave this place.
What we told you. Don't look back and don't stop.
The evil and vile atrocities have caused a great outcry against its people.
Destroy it?
Yes, the city. The city will be destroyed.
Lot's mouth was still hanging open in disbelief as he absorbed the men's words, the power they wielded, the certainty with which they spoke. Lot didn't know many things at that moment, but one thing he knew for sure: these were not men. They were messengers of God Almighty, sent here to exact judgment upon Lot's home. The adrenaline from the confrontation still pulsed through his veins as he grappled with this new information. He gaped at the otherworldly messengers standing in his entryway as he again slumped to the ground.
Lot, what are you going to do?
I think I must go. I must go to our sons-in-law, Zaram and Lavin. I've got to warn them.
Please, Father, go and warn them. Tell them what they must do.
Tell them to come to us.
One of the visitors approached Lot and offered him a hand and pulled him to his feet. The other similarly helped his daughters and wife stand.
You should go now. We would see you off to safety. And as soon as we do that, we can get to our task.
The visitor who helped Lot to his feet ushered him toward the door and opened it. Lot then stumbled into the street beyond his front door and made his way toward the household of his sons-in-law. Lot stumbled through the streets of Sodom to his son-in-law's house. Durak and his angry mob mercifully had been led astray. He forced himself to repeat the stranger's words in his head over and over. Destroy. They were going to destroy the city. Everything he worked so hard to build, rebuild, was going to be taken away from him. Again. But he would be under their protection. He was being given a way out. This wasn't like the last time strangers hell-bent on destruction had come to Sodom. This time would be different.
Zaran! Laven! Jethrin! Anybody!
Despite the late hour, Lot pounded on the front door in his son-in-law's house.
Lot, what is the meaning of this?
The hour is late. Our father is already in bed.
Oh, my sons, listen to me. This is important. We need to leave the city right away. I have just gotten word that the God of my uncle Abraham is going to destroy the city.
A god has come to speak to you.
Who do you think you are, an oracle? You can see the future now?
Either that, or he's drunk. Sleep it off, old man.
No, what I'm telling you is true. You have no idea what I've seen. Oh, the things I've seen, what these men are capable of. Get your belongings. We need to get up and leave the city as soon as we can.
This is a bore. I'm going back to bed.
Come now, how many cups of wine have you had? Or is it the spirits brewed in the high temples that have you hallucinating like this? What? No, I'm sober! And I'm telling you the truth! Wake your father and mother! Wake the whole house! We need to leave!
Lot watched as the brothers exchanged long glances, assessing what to do with him. Lot hardly blamed them. He could only imagine how deranged he appeared and sounded, banging on their door in the middle of the night and shouting premonitory nonsense.
Lot, we're not doing that. Crazy old goat.
You need to get home, Lot. Out of respect for you as our future father-in-law, we'll turn a blind eye to this outburst, but I know I speak for Laven when I say I hope this will not happen again.
With that, they slammed the door in his face. Lot was dismayed. What was he going to do now? He had failed his daughters. Not to mention, men who had once respected him thought he was losing his grip on reality. They had not even offered to walk him home. They couldn't be bothered. Lot knew it was the least of his worries, but that was indeed a blow. He had risen up the ranks in this town only to be treated like a pariah. Lot stewed in his thoughts all the way home, just as the night sky was beginning to lighten. He found his wife and daughters being cajoled around into packing and gathering their things by the two visitors.
You need to leave now. Take your wife and your daughters, or you will be swept away in the punishment of the city.
Despite all Lot had seen earlier that night with the mob and the blinding light, and even all the acts of Abraham's God in the years since they left Haran, he hesitated. His wife and daughters were in their traveling clothes, supplies and packs slung over their shoulders and in their arms. The reality of the situation was right before his very eyes, but yet Lot hesitated. He thought of all he had won and lost and won again. He thought of the horrors he had faced and the life he had built here. Could he really leave it all behind because of a single night of panic? What would his peers or even his enemies say if he ran like a coward in the night? What if all of this was a misunderstanding? Or perhaps something could be worked out? Surely Sodom was not so vile as to warrant total destruction. The visitors watched his silent calculation, and, as if in response, they swooped upon him, grabbing his hands and dragging him from the threshold of their home into the streets of the city.
Hello, everyone. It's your favorite president, Donald J. Trump, here to introduce something really special. You're going to love it. My new Trump watches. It's one of the best watches made. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know what it's for, who it represents. Get your Trump watch right now. Go to gettrumpwatches.com. It's Trump time.
That's right. President Trump has released his official Trump watches. But don't wait, because these limited edition watches won't be around for long. Go to gettrumpwatches.com now to get your Trump watch before they're gone. It's an easy URL to remember, gettrumpwatches.com. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of history. Go now to gettrumpwatches.com and get your watch today. See gettrumpwatches.com for details. Trump watches are not intended for investment purposes. Hurry, go now to gettrumpwatches.com.
Just a few years ago, only 3% of domestic violence shelters accepted pets, meaning many abuse survivors had to choose between staying in a difficult situation for their pet or leaving their pet behind. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men experience domestic abuse in their lifetime, and nearly half of survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Purina believes in the healing power of pets, particularly for survivors of abuse. They believe pets and people are better together, which is one of the many reasons they started the Purple Leash Project. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping break down one of the many barriers abuse survivors face: the lack of pet-friendly domestic violence shelters. Purina has helped increase the amount of pet-friendly shelters across the country from 3% to nearly 20% through the Purple Leash Project. With more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters, survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to get involved.
Attention parents and grandparents. Are you searching for the perfect gift for your kids this holiday season? Give the gift of adventure that will last all year long. A Guardian bike, the easiest, safest, and quickest bikes for kids to learn on. Kids are learning to ride in just one day. No training wheels needed. What sets Guardian bikes apart? Designed especially for stability, they're low to the ground with a wide wheelbase and ultra-lightweight frames, offering superior control and balance. This design gives young riders the ability to learn in just one day without tears or frustration. Guardian bikes are the only kids' bikes designed and assembled in a USA factory, ensuring top-notch quality and durability. They were also featured on Shark Tank and are the New York Times Wirecutter Top Kids Bike Pick for 2024. Join the hundreds of thousands of happy families by getting a Guardian bike today. Their holiday season sales have begun, offering the biggest deal of the year. Save up to 25% on bikes. No code needed. Plus, get free shipping and a free bike lock and pump with your first purchase after signing up for their newsletter. Visit GuardianBikes.com to take advantage of these deals and secure your holiday season gifts today. Happy riding!
What a dark story. Unsettling and profoundly sorrowful. And what's perhaps the most disturbing part of the entire story is the quiet, nearly imperceptible way that evil crept into Lot's family, distorting their values and warping their sense of right and wrong. The angel's visit feels like a last-ditch divine effort at redemption, a desperate attempt to pull Lot and his kin from the quicksand of corruption. But Lot and his family were already compromised long before the final night. This slow, burning tragedy speaks volumes about the human condition, our susceptibility to the world's influence, and the slow and silent erosion of our moral compass. Because this didn't happen overnight. There were no flashing neon signs or blaring alarms to signal their descent into moral ambiguity. Instead, it was a series of small compromises, little concessions made in the name of survival or comfort. Eventually, that led to a profound loss of integrity and identity. It's easy to judge Sodom, to point fingers at its overt depravity, and to feel a sense of righteous indignation. But today's story forces us to confront a more uncomfortable truth, our own imperfection. How often do we allow the world around us to shape our thoughts, our actions, and our opinions? Where have we made compromises, let down our guard, and allowed the values of a broken society to infiltrate our hearts and minds? Lot's story is a somber reminder that we are all susceptible to our environment's subtle, corrosive influence. It's a call to vigilance, to self-examination, and to a relentless pursuit of integrity, even when the world around us seems irredeemable. And it makes me wonder, how do we protect our souls in such a world? How do we stay true to our values when everything around us is telling us not to? Let's look a little deeper and try to find some answers. If we look at the Hebrew text, we see something really interesting. Genesis 19:15-16 reads as follows. As morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be swept away in the punishment of the city." But he lingered. So the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and sent him outside the city. Did you hear those 3 words that are really important in this conversation? That phrase, "but he lingered," is critical to understand what happened here. In the original Hebrew, it's marked with a special symbol that we only find 4 times in the entire Torah. It's called a shalshelet. It's a musical note, a wavering sound between 2 notes in a musical number. In each of the 4 times we find the shalshelet in the Torah, we find someone hesitating in their actions, just like Lot did in this story. The wavering sound of the shalshelet captures Lot's internal conflict. The lingering sound in the air mirrors Lot's ambivalence. Lot's hesitation wasn't just a pause. It was a profound back and forth struggle deep down in his soul. Lot was torn. On one hand, he had built a life in Sodom with all of its comforts and corruptions. And on the other hand, he knew of the looming judgment and God's call to leave everything behind. It's hard to admit it, but aren't we often a lot like Lot? Hesitant, caught in the middle, like a shalshelet, that sound, caught in the tension between what we want to do and what we should do, what we are already comfortable in and what we know we should change. But why would Lot hesitate, you might ask? The entire city is about to go up in fire and brimstone. It's about to be obliterated. Lot knows that. Why wouldn't he just leave? Jewish commentaries through the centuries say that Lot wanted to save his wealth. They wanted to save his material possessions, which lay in his home in Sodom. You see, despite the influence of his uncle Abraham, Lot was never comfortable with Abraham's priorities. Abraham put life and family first. Lot put comfort and wealth first. Well, we see in the scriptures that Lot does escape at the very last minute, but not before his story shows us the stark difference between these 2 outlooks on life, Lot's or Abraham's. We have to choose. Lot, who wavered like the shalshelet note, or Abraham, who wasn't perfect and who made dire mistakes, but who always followed God's call with an unwavering faith, a faith that he would pass down to the chosen people. And that's the thing about God's word. Even in dark stories, such as these, slivers of light break through. And that's the thing about God's word. Even in dark stories, such as these, slivers of light break through. Let's turn to Bishop Lanier to shed a bit of light on this story.
Well, we're now entering one of the darkest portions of Scripture to be found anywhere in the Bible. And the central character of this plot is none other than Lot. That's right. The nephew of Abraham. You know, I can't help but think of that moment when God called Abraham, and one of the stipulations was, Abraham, leave your family behind. And yet he brings Lot, his nephew, with him. Now, of course, I realize that in the Christian scriptures there is that reference that if a man dies, that it is his brother's responsibility to inherit that family and to raise them as his own. I don't know if that's at work, that's at play here. I don't know. I do know this. There's never a moment in this situation where Lot ever brings value to Abraham's life. In fact, Lot is continuously, perpetually a dishonoring force in Abraham's life, and God will not honor a dishonoring person or people. He must have been the most failed family man to be found in the Bible. I think of that David, who had to be the worst father. I mean, consider the sons and the daughters that were continuously rising in rebellion and contention and dissension within the family until ultimately one of his own sons, Absalom, organizes an army to kill his father, the King David. But where was David supposed to learn family life, please? We don't even know who his mother was. His father, Jesse, never really believed in him. His brothers minimized him. Oddly enough, it was not until Bathsheba and Solomon, meaning wisdom, that David began to understand a little bit more. And he spent some of the final seasons of his life finding and accumulating and gathering those essential things that his son Solomon might need to build, to erect, to construct and present unto God this extraordinary, sophisticated, glorious temple. But this Lot, this Lot. Can I tell you, I have a problem. I'm a Christian. I look to the New Testament, and there's actually a verse in there that refers to Lot as righteous. Now, I bow myself humbly, completely, immediately to the Scriptures, but I'm telling you in my own sense of reasoning, I can't find one thing in the life of Lot that's remotely righteous. He's sitting at the gate when those two angelic beings who had left Abraham and the other, and those two angelic beings have arrived to Sodom. And there is Lot sitting at the gate, more like at the town hall, listening, watching, discerning, navigating. And all of a sudden he looks up, and with the discernment he probably got from his uncle Abraham, like every other good thing in Lot's life, he realizes we've got a problem. Holiness just entered the city, and this is not a holy city. So he rushes, and you can almost feel the panic and the hectic sense in his life, and he looks at them, and I can hear him say, "What are you doing here? I've got to get you out of this space. This is not good. You'll come home with me. You'll come to my house, and we will wash your feet. We will prepare a meal. You can sleep in our beds, and the next morning early, you can get out of here, and everything will be fine." Why was Lot so panicked? Well, we had learned earlier that one of the beings said to Abraham, the stench of sin in that city has already reached heaven, and we've come to deal with it. You know, there are neighborhoods and cities, even nations, who have lost themselves to darkness, to debauchery. And this Sodom and Gomorrah is one such place. And Lot brings them into his house, and it doesn't take long before some of the residents who have watched them into his space begin pounding on the doors and demanding, "We saw visitors come into this city. Open your doors and let us in, and let us have those visitors to ourselves, that we can have sexual relations with them." And Lot says, "No, you can't have these men. Look, I have daughters. They're virgins. They've never been touched by a man. I'll give them to you, and you do with them whatever you want to do." Please, can someone tell me how a father, I don't care the circumstance, could say, "I will sacrifice my own virgin daughters"? It becomes unnecessary for Lot to sacrifice his daughters because these angelic beings have the power to blind these men who are obsessed and already blinded. And these angelic beings say to Lot, "Judgment has come to this city now. You talk to your family. You prepare them. You get your things together. And we have come to help you escape. We are your ark, and you're going to miss the flood if you get in the boat now." This Lot, this Lot, this dishonoring Lot. You remember, the blessings of God upon Lot's life had nothing to do with a conversation from God to Lot. There's never a moment
of a divine dialogue with heaven in Lot's life. He's prospered, he's multiplied, he's increased, he's privileged simply because he's related to Abraham. And the blessing began to expand and extend, and it became a point of contention between Lot and his servants. Humility would have said, hey, listen, I wouldn't have anything in my life if it weren't for my uncle, so there's not going to be any arguing or bickering or debating. Whatever belongs to my uncle belongs to my uncle, and I will even seed my blessings into him. There'll be no arguing between our servants. When it came to choosing the land, humility would have said, choose the land? I don't have a place to lay my head unless my uncle provides for me. So no, Uncle Abraham, you choose what's right for you. But he didn't do that. He's kidnapped, and when he's returned, I don't remember seeing anything about Lot ever being grateful for his rescue, and he just sits at the gate and tried to rush the angels away and stood at the doorway negotiating away his virgin daughters, and he couldn't even influence his sons or sons-in-law to leave that city against the judgment. And when the angels are leading them out, he hesitates, and his wife turns and looks the other way. His daughters end up using him to impregnate themselves. This is a failed family man, and that's all I'm going to say in this section right now. This is a bad situation. This is as dark as you get. But hear me. There's a lot of us who've made horrible mistakes. Maybe you have. Maybe your family is in trouble because you said the wrong thing. You went the wrong place. You had the wrong relationship, and right now you're in a crisis. I'm telling you, I'm convinced God will dispatch his mercies, his love, an angelic force to find a way to take you from the darkness and to lead you to that place of redemption. I declare it by God. Amen.
I want to end by talking about Abraham's view from above Sodom. He sees the carnage from a distance, thinking that his prayers to God have gone unanswered. Each year, I have the privilege of standing before the ancient stones of the Kotel, the Western Wall in the Old City of Jerusalem, the privilege of bringing the prayers of the fellowship's friends and supporters to this holiest place in the world, of adding the prayers of my faithful friends today to the prayers of generations which came before us. I read a few Psalms, David's timeless words resonating deep within my soul, and then I take these prayers, your prayers, to God. I think of the countless times I've prayed for those in dire need. Often God answers with a resounding yes, but sometimes the response is silence. When our prayers go what feels like unanswered, it can shake the very foundations of our faith. We find ourselves questioning, is God even listening? When we find ourselves asking if God is listening, let's try to remember Abraham, a man of profound faith, facing a heart-wrenching situation. He had pleaded with God to spare Sodom and Gomorrah, only to rise the next morning and see smoke ascending from the city's ruins. Abraham's prayers, it seemed, had gone unanswered. God's answer had been no. But Abraham doesn't rage against God or even challenge his will. There is no crisis of faith, no wavering in his devotion. Despite his fervent prayers, Abraham's faith remains unshaken, steadfast, even loyal in the face of apparent silence. And then the Bible tells us that God remembered Abraham and saved his nephew Lot. Let's all remember that God remembers us too, that he hears our prayers and he has plans to bless us even when we think his answer is No. So I'll leave you with this blessing. Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, Yair Hashem panav elecha v'chonecha, Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you. May he be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace.
You can listen to The Chosen People with Yael Eckstein ad-free by downloading and subscribing to the pray.com app today. This pray.com production is only made possible by our dedicated team of creative talents. Steve Katina, Max Bard, Zach Schellebarger, and Ben Gammon are the executive producers of The Chosen People with Yael Eckstein, edited by Alberto Avila, narrated by Paul Coltofianu. Characters are voiced by Jonathan Cotton, Aaron Salvato, Sarah Seltz, Mike Reagan, Stephen Ringwald, Sylvia Zaradok, and the opening prayer is voiced by John Moore. Music by Andrew Morgan Smith, written by Bree Roseley and Aaron Salvato. Special thanks to Bishop Paul Lanier, Caleb Burrows, Jocelyn Fuller, and the team at International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. You can hear more Pray.com productions on the Pray.com app, available on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. If you enjoyed The Chosen People with Yael Eckstein, please rate and leave a review.
Hi, I'm William Googe, a Vury collaborator and professional ultra runner. I know performance wear, and my go-to is the Core Short from Vury. Perfect for running, training, or relaxing. Check them out at vury.com/William, where new customers will receive 20% off their first order, plus free US shipping on orders over $75 and free returns. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions.
When designing and building the world around us, every detail counts. Every stakeholder's input is crucial. That's why professionals across disciplines and projects rely on Bluebeam's easy-to-use software to communicate clearly, collaborate effectively, and speed up everyday tasks. Try Bluebeam free for 14 days, no credit card required. For a limited time, Bluebeam is offering iHeartRadio listeners 20% off a new subscription. Visit Bluebeam.com today and use promo code iHeart20 at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Limit 1 transaction per customer.
Imagine relying on a dozen different software programs to run your business, none of which are connected, and each one more expensive and more complicated than the last. It can be pretty stressful. Now, imagine Odoo. Odoo has all the programs you'll ever need, and they're all connected on one platform. Doesn't Odoo sound amazing? Let Odoo harmonize your business with simple, efficient software that can handle everything for a fraction of the price. Sign up today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.